and cannot be on. I'm very excited that you guys are on. We are putting together 3 mentor teams right now, 2 for females that are ready, a 3rd female that will be ready by the 1st of April, and 1 male that will be ready by the 1st of April. So we need 2 teams right now. And so this is really, really important that we get this put together. So if you, Stan, I know you're our only guy here. Well, I mean, Jeff, I know you're a guy, but you're here for a different reason. But Stan, if you would rather be with a young man, maybe even as a team leader, keep that kind of in mind. And then I'm also looking for 2 people to be team leaders for the girls team. Now, don't think that well, I'm male, so I have to be on a man's team, or I'm female, so I have to be on a woman's team. That's not how it works. It's really what your preference is. And Lori Jo has done this before. This is not her first rodeo, so I want her to weigh in when we get to Q&A, because she's very good at mentoring. But the main thing I wanted you guys to know tonight is that basically the mentoring teams work like this. You have a team of 3, 4, or 5 people that surround one mentee, and they have to be on 3rd pillar. Why 3rd pillar? Well, when I took this program over almost 3 years ago, what I had noticed in the Where Hope Lives program is that when our residents would hit 3rd pillar, that's when they get their freedom back. A lot of freedom, right, Lori Jo? They get their phone, they can start working, they might start going to school full time. 1st and 2nd pillar, there's a lot of restrictions. They're in classes at the Dream Center all day, they're acclimating, they're healing. 3rd pillar is where we give them a little taste of freedom. So think of it as freshman, sophomore, junior, senior in high school or college. Junior year, you're like kind of done. You're like, can I go out into the world now? And that's what we were finding, that our attrition rate at 3rd pillar was very high, because that's when they started getting into the world again. And, you know, this right here, Satan's tool, okay? This can be heaven's blessing or Satan's tool. And so a lot of them would sometimes leave and then figure out that the world is not good for them yet. And then they would come back. So at that point, when we have a mentor team surround them that they kind of feel like they're held accountable to, and it becomes their family, our attrition rate stopped.
Really?
We have not had any mentees that had a mentor team surround them drop out of the program. They have all graduated. Now, have they done exactly what we would have hoped they would have done? Not all, but a lot of them have, and they are very, very successful. So this is how vital this mission is. So what you do as a team is, for the first 3 months of meetings, actually it's the first 6 meetings, so 2, 2, 2. The first 6 meetings you meet as a team, not more than twice a month. We know that you are working, you're busy, you have family, you have kids, you have lives. And when you drive all the way to the Dream Center, it's probably going to be 45 minutes to an hour by the time you get there. You have your mentor team, which is an hour to an hour and a half, and then drive all the way home. That's a big chunk of time. So we're trying to respect your time and your energy level, and yet still have enough time with your mentee that you can form those bonds. So for the first 3 months, you meet twice a month. And then after that, you meet once a month until all the way until they graduate. And even a year after, we ask that mentor teams stay with their mentee for a year past graduation, unless they leave the city. If they leave the city to go to school or pursue something else, or they're reunited with their family, then that's where your basically your responsibility stops. But I've got, right now, I'm actually getting text messages. I have 2 mentor teams right now that their mentee graduated from the program and then went to another program. The other one went to college, but it's all in Phoenix. They're still doing meetings. So they're still kind of reporting into me, just keeping me in the loop, but you become the mentees family. Now, that's your time commitment. The biggest commitment is the emotional commitment because you've got to remember that when someone is trafficked, everything except for their physical development stops. So if we have, let's say, a young girl who's in her mid-20s and she was trafficked at 14, she still kind of thinks like a 14 or a 15-year-old. Isn't that a pleasant age? And so we have to be very patient. We have to be very accommodating. We do in the meetings, we do give them homework. We ask that they are prepared before their next meeting, which will be 2 weeks later, and that they follow up and they do their research and all that. But there are some mentees that are ready to go. We've got 2 right now, 2 females that are ready to go. They're like, give me my mentor team. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to graduate. I want some advice. They both want to work in corporate America. That's very high level goals for our residents. And so we're looking for people who are going to set some pretty high expectations for them. The last 2 mentor teams we launched 6 weeks ago, completely different personalities. So what you're looking at mentoring right now is 2 women who are really ready to make something of their lives. So we're very excited about that. We do encourage them to pursue higher education. They can't graduate from the Dream Center till they have their high school diploma or GED. We encourage them to get their high school diploma at least, because then if they decide to ever go to college, they can. If they want to go to vocational school, we actually have the Hide and Write Foundation that will pay the tuition for vocational school. The only thing the Hide and Write Foundation won't pay for is room and board, but they already have that at the Dream Center, so that's awesome. But there are some steps they have to follow in that. When they graduate, they get a gift from the Dream Center of $5,000. Guess who's in charge of telling them how they're going to spend that? You are. The mentor team is. They cannot just take $5,000 and go blow it. They have to use it for housing or a car or education, or they have to apply to us, like not a formal application, but they come back through the mentor team and they might say, like we just recently had one of our mentees say, I've got this huge credit card bill. It's been hanging over my head for years. Can I knock it out? So we'll consider those kind of debts, but we really prefer it to be for something that's got some meat to it, like some schooling or a car or housing or, you know, something really big that they need. So the mentor team decides that. Oh, notes help. Okay. Our guidelines are basically the same that you learn in orientation with Alicia Vallejo, the second Saturday of each month. You can go to that if you haven't been already. Has anyone not been to her orientation? Not been? Okay, so I want to highly encourage y'all to go to the one in March or April. The paperwork that I sent you today at the very bottom of the checklist has a link where you can sign up to go to orientation. If you haven't taken a tour, you can do orientation and the tour. So that way you knock all of that out. If you haven't been to orientation in the last year, then you haven't been to orientation, because she does it in 60 minutes. She gets to the point. It's awesome. It's really, really good. You'll be out of there in an hour, but it's great information. Okay, so after the first 3 months, when you do your 2 meetings a month, and then after that, 1 meeting a month as a team on campus, then you can have what we call mini meetings. So let's say Kelly and Juliet get together and they go, you know what, we want to go and take Susie, our mentee. Can we pick her up on campus and take her to lunch somewhere and just kind of have a mini meeting, like just kind of do some sharing and talking and kind of go over some of her goals and encourage her. Absolutely. The good thing is it's super simple. You just go through me because then I contact leadership. I look at I'm in charge of the education program. So I know what their school schedule is. I know what days of the week they don't have classes, or when they have a break or a class that they could miss. Like they love to miss boot camp. So, if you wanted to come on campus and maybe say, um, let's say Lori Joe said, hey, can I bring Susie lunch? And we'll meet in the courtyard. Absolutely. You can do one-on-one meetings in public places, but you can never have the mentee alone with you in your car. You can never be alone in a room with them or alone in a meeting with them. That is for your protection and their protection because you have to remember 14, 15, 16-year-old, you say something that they don't like, you haven't done your homework for the last 3 meetings and your mentor team is expecting that. Well, I've got this and I've got that. And next thing you know, they go to leadership and say, Lori Joe said I'm stupid or something like that. Well, you want that person there. I know y'all are probably going, okay, I don't want to be a mentor, but you're dealing with adolescent brains is what you're dealing with. And their first reaction to everything is to be defensive. I'm going to tell you the bad stuff to begin with. So some of the bad stuff, will they lie? Yes. Will you see a different mentee 3 months in than you do the first meeting? Yes. Will you be disappointed? Absolutely. Will your expectations be met? No way. But and Lori Joe's laughing, but let me tell you the good thing. They will bring more blessings into your life than you could ever take to theirs. You will discover a side of yourself that you didn't even know existed. And they just, they're like those little critters that bury into your skin. They just dig into your heart. And, one of the biggest things that I have to talk mentees out of doing is you cannot be Santa Claus. So if Juliet's in a mentor meeting and her mentee, let's say it's Jasha, says, all my socks have holes in them and I just really need socks. And she's like, I'm going to go buy her 100 pairs of socks. You want to be Santa Claus and you can't. What we do is we don't solve the problem for them. We don't enable them. We don't gift them over expectations, which we can do some gifting. We'll talk about that in a second. But we give them ideas of how they can problem solve so that when they leave the bubble of the dream center, they understand how to do that. They understand how to work with 3, 4, 5 different personality types in the same meeting. They understand how to figure out the bus schedule, how to navigate an education site, a vocational school site. You don't do it for them. You might recommend a book they read, but don't buy them the book. They've got money. They've got food stamps. They've got all that stuff. Let me tell you what, if they want it, they'll get it. They'll call Auntie Joe. So they will get it. But, if it's their birthday or if you're having a meeting and everybody wants to bring a little snack, excuse me, that's always good. Like to even just have like fruit or something or cookies or whatever, because people relax over food. So I always tell the mentor teams, have just one person each meeting, bring a little snack, just something little. You are not feeding the world. You're not the fishies and the loaves, just something little because they relax over food. Right, Lori Joe? She's like, yep. And then you'll know from their paperwork when their birthday is, do they have kids, stuff like that. And so you'll be able to navigate that. One of the mentor teams had their meetings the first Saturday and the third Saturday of last month, and their mentee's birthday was the second Saturday. And instead of changing the meeting because it messes up everybody's schedule, the team leader just said, hey, I'm going to pick up the resident, the mentee, and we're going to go to lunch nearby. Who wants to join us? The entire team ended up going. So the first meeting you'll have with your mentee will be just like this. It'll be on Zoom. Why do we do that? Because we found in the beginning that when you've got this resident sitting there and 3, 4, 5 strangers walk in, they shut down. But if we can have some distance like we do right now, they look at everybody, they're looking at your names, they're writing stuff down, they're learning who's going to cover what lanes, they're kind of getting to know you. So the first time they meet you in the lobby for their first meeting, they feel like they already know you. Does that make sense? Yeah, it gives a little distance. Also, for the first Zoom meeting, I'll be on and their manager will be on. So if it's a female, the female manager will be on. If it's a male, the male manager will be on. So they'll be able to give you a little bit of insight. We meet with the resident. Then once they get off, we talk for a few minutes. The manager will say, okay, so here's some issues that we're having with, you know, Susie or whatever. These are some things you might want to look out for. You know, they'll talk about their meds they're on. They'll talk about any, you know, mental behaviors that you need to watch out for. But the main thing to understand here, guys, is you're not dealing with the whole picture of a person. We, as grown, mature, I know Stan's like, am I mature?
Yeah, right.
In dealing with grown, mature, you know, spiritually mature people, if I've had something horrible happen 30 minutes ago, I can put that outside of me, do this meeting, and then go back and solve it later, right? But they can't. If they walk into a meeting and they're just like this, something has happened. You may have to drop the agenda for the meeting and say, talk to us. We're your family. This is confidential. The only thing that's not confidential is if they do or say anything that you think they might harm themselves or someone else, we have to know that in the report. I wanted to show you guys real quick. I want to show you what the report kind of looks like. If I can find it. Hang on, you're going to see my whole horrible screen here. Okay, come on, here we are. Here we are. Okay, well, I was going to share it with you, but now it's disappeared on me. Okay, well, I was going to show you what, oh, now it's stuck. Okay, good. This is pleasant. I live in the desert of Cave Creek, so you never know if you're going to have internet or not. But whoever the team leader is, we give them like a template to follow, and it's each lane's report and what they did with the resident, and then they highlight at the very top, red, you know, red font, yellow. Here is something we need to ask leadership immediately. You know, does this person have access to computers? Yes, they do. They'll tell you they don't, but they do. Are they on phone restriction? No, they're not. They'll tell you they are, but they're not. Things like that. But the other rules and guidelines are like the first couple of months, like the first 4 to 5 meetings, the only person who will have the mentee's phone number is the team leader. And that way they'll form a group text here. They'll form a group text with the team, and then they'll have a group text with myself, whoever the leader manager is of that person, and them. And that way they can communicate that way, because we've got to figure out who's healthy for the mentee and who's not. And it's not always a perfect match. We have had in 2.5 years, I've had 2 mentors. It did not work with that mentee. It just didn't. So they moved to another team later on and it worked out great. So, you know, not everybody is going to love everybody, and that is perfectly fine. That's the way of the world. So at least we can accommodate you. So before I open it up to questions and all, Lori Jo, is there anything that you're thinking of right now that you would love to share as a past mentor?
Well, thank you and welcome everybody. You know, my experience recently was amazing. my mentee wound up moving to New York and she's working successfully. She has a good retail job. I occasionally text her to check in on her to see how she's doing, but we're really proud of her. It was a little shaky for a minute, but we got through it, so it's okay. The one thing that Joanna said that I think really strikes true for me and my experience with her was her lack of knowledge in life skills. And so I learned to take it to a very basic level with her. And teenagers and older teenagers, especially, and young 20s, they tend to act like they know everything. And so you don't want to appear condescending to them, but you also have to acknowledge that there's certain things that they just don't know, right? So to find that balance between teaching, having a teaching moment, and not like I have a daughter, right? So, speaking to her like she's my daughter, which I wouldn't do, right? But with respect and dignity, and asking them questions, leading questions like, have you ever, done this before? Can I explain how to do this? So my role on the team was real estate and education. And so had she ever rented an apartment before? Did she ever fill out an application for a school? And then finding out her knowledge base on what she knew and then working around that rather than just speaking at her, learning about her more and then coaching her that way. But it was shocking to me how little she did know about how to conduct herself in the world. So that was my biggest takeaway from the first team that I had.
Yeah.
And so.
And you ask a lot of questions.
Yes.
And they don't always give you an answer right then. And if they can't answer, you just say, well, you know what, Juliet, I think we've stumped you here. Jot that question down in your notebook and let's come back to that next week or maybe later on. Okay. What I need to know from all of you is, are you in? And you don't have to answer right now. Are you in to be on a team? If any of you would like to be a team leader, if you would let me know that as soon as possible. We actually have, sorry, I have allergies. We actually have 2 other mentors that couldn't be on tonight that we're adding to this. So we'll have enough for 2 full teams. If you would prefer to work with a male or a female, I need to know that. And then if you can also put in your email to me, what does your normal schedule look like? Now, if you have kids, yeah, that can vary. But what is the night? What are the nights of the week that if you had a mentor team meeting, you could make it? What is better for you? Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, Thursday night, Monday night. We have a team that's been meeting now for 3 years, 1 Monday a month, just to touch base with their mentee. She is doing great. She has a wonderful job. She's getting ready to leave the Dream Center. She's saved enough money for her own condo. They have walked along her every step of the way since I took over this program. It's just absolutely amazing, but they still meet with her. But I just need to know from you, what does your schedule look like? Now, I will warn you, most of the mentors right now want to meet on Saturday mornings. And keep in mind, it's 2 Saturdays a month, and then 2 weeks a month, and then 1 week every month until they graduate. So, and we like to go a year past graduation, but once they graduate, you're kind of off the hook if you want to be. But, what does that look like to you? So, if you can let me know that, then what I do is I look at everybody. I play Tetris and I figure out really who can meet when, and then I put y'all on teams together, really according to your availability. And it has been such a God thing since the very beginning, because except for one person that said, I thought I could drive an hour and a half and I can't, except for one person in almost 3 years, everybody has fit like this. Like it's been amazing. Just amazing. Like they become a family. The team becomes a family. And, keep in mind too that, you can do things with them off campus. You can do things with them on campus. You can show up and have like some fun time, downtime with them. That is beyond the responsibility of the meetings. It's just, we want to have at least maybe 4 or 5 meetings. Don't you agree, Lori Jo? Before you have that one-on-one, because the first time you do it, it's going to feel kind of weird and you're going to probably want someone with you because if they're having a quiet day, they're not going to talk. So you have someone else to talk to. And food is a motivator, right, Lori Jo? Food is always a motivator. Okay. All right. All right. So questions. Juliet, let
yeah,
me see your dog. Both my
she's
dogs
cute.
passed away in the last year, so I'm dog missing.
She's just a little puppy. She's like
Aw.
17 weeks.
Okay, so I will tell you, if you guys have dogs, ask them in the first Zoom meeting, do you like dogs? You can bring your dog to the mentor team meeting.
Oh my
They
gosh,
go
really?
cray cray.
That's
Great.
cool.
It is such a relaxer to them to hold an animal or to pet them. Our animal therapy woman, she is amazing and they love her. See, they love, like, they're just like, all of a sudden, you're not someone who's going to try to tell them what to do. You are an animal owner. And I don't like cats. I like babies more than cats, and I don't like babies. So I'm a dog girl, Dog backwards is God. So there you go.
You're amazing. So team size, Joanna,
Yeah.
how big is a team?
Teams can be 3, 4, or 5 people. I like
Okay.
to kind of go in the middle and have at least 4,
Okay.
because that way, if somebody's traveling or they can't make a meeting or they're going to Zoom in, the mentee still has at least 2 or 3 people there.
Okay, so the goal is to have more than one, at least always more than one with the mentee.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
3 to 4, yeah, is on
Okay.
a team. And
perfect.
when we first started this program, Brian had me take it over. We had 9 people on each team.
Wow.
And it was so overwhelming to our residents that they were like, it's too much. So that's when we said, let's cut the team in half and give everybody 2 to 3 lanes. And do y'all understand the concept of the lanes? Yes. Okay, you saw in the mentor team packet, it's education, transportation, family, spiritual, career, finance, housing. What else, Lori Jo? What am I forgetting? You think I remember this, but it's all the different areas of their life that they have holes there. But like if your mentee has just gotten a job and they have to know the bus schedule to catch the bus to get to their job every day, you don't go and figure out the bus schedule for them. In your mentor team meeting, you say, do you know how to read a bus schedule? Okay, so if the bus comes in front of the Dream Center at 2 o'clock and you have to be at work at 2:30, when do you need to start getting ready to go down and catch the bus? And you have them tell you, well, if I've just come out of class or I've just finished doing something, I probably need to be showered. So, and you get them to start learning how to do time management. If they are looking at, I want to buy a car, want to buy a car, want to buy a car. Okay. Do you know how much a car costs? Yeah, it costs $2,000. Okay. That's a car that you're going to put more money into repairing it than you are buying it. So let's aim a little bit higher. One of the things we really try to do is we try to encourage them to stay at the Dream Center as long as possible. We don't want them to become a permanent fixture, but if they're getting ready to graduate and they're mentally really not ready for the outside world, the mentor team is going to kind of say, why don't you stay here for another 6 months, continue working, keep saving that money, and then you'll hit your financial goals so that you can buy a car and rent an apartment. So one of the key people is finance because they have no concept of finances. And the other one is career. They think the best thing they can do is go to work at Pizza Hut. And if they get a job at McDonald's or Burger King or Pizza Hut or whatever, we don't ever say, oh, you can do better than that. We say, that's a good start. That's a good start. You're building your resume. That's good. Then we encourage them to continue their education, whether it's vocational, higher education, whatever, continue your education so that you have more options when you leave the bubble, the Phoenix Dream Center. Do y'all understand how I'm thinking here? Like everything is positive. It's positive affirmation. It's positive thinking. It's encouragement. It's, you've got this. Let's dream big. But it may take so much for them to go work at Little Caesars Pizza where people are going to walk in the door and they have to look at them. That right there is a huge step for some of our kids. But once they get past that, then they're like, oh, I got this. So we have to applaud them for their victories and say, okay, well then what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? We're always painting the picture of the future.
What's the youngest that a young girl or boy would graduate from the program?
Well, the Phoenix Dream Center is the adult Where Hope Lives recovery program. So they have to be 18.
18 to start, to be at the center.
They have to be 18 to be at the Dream Center. We have people all the way into their mid-20s.
Okay.
It depends on when we rescued them, when they entered the program.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Physically, they have to be 18.
Mhm.
Natalie, I can't hear you. If you're talking, you're not muted. I don't think your audio is on. Let me invite you. Let me see. No, you're not muted. So for some
How about
reason,
now?
yes, very good.
It's my settings.
Okay.
Sorry. There's a headset, there's a default, and there's the speakers. So
There-
there you go. So anyhow, I was just gonna ask you about the 2 Saturdays of the month. What time do those meetings normally hold that you have that?
If the
You said
meeting,
mornings, but how about in the afternoon? What is it like?
it just depends on your availability. We do have 2 teams right now that meet during the week. We actually have one group that meets midday. They're all retirees, so they don't have to worry about, the job commuting, and they'd rather travel when there's no traffic. But a lot of them meet on Saturday mornings or Saturday afternoons. But when you send me your availability and what your ideal meeting time would be, then I try to match all up that way.
Okay.
It's
All right,
usually
thank you.
9 or 10. We have one group that met at 11 and then they changed it back to 10 because they're like, yeah, that we'd rather just get in and out. And I know that sounds horrible, but you drive
Yeah.
all the way there and then you have your meeting and then you have to drive all the way home or whatever. So yeah.
I see. Okay, thank you.
I live in Cave Creek and I go to the Dream Center a lot. So I understand the commute.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How long does the relationship usually last? From the first meeting till and I know, Lori Jo, you said you actually still keep in touch, but obviously there's been like an official graduation or something. So
Yes.
how long does that typically take?
So when they hit 4th pillar, then they're eligible to graduate. When they graduate, we ask that the team stays with them for at least a year to kind of hang with them, even if they move out of the Dream Center, as long as they stay local. If they leave the city, your ties are broken unless you do what Lori Jo's done and you just kind of text them every once in a while and see how they're doing. But if they stay in Phoenix, you kind of become their family. Like you'll have mentor team members arguing over who they're going to spend Easter with, or who they're going to spend Christmas with, or Thanksgiving with, and you get really, really, really attached. It's pretty cool.
So how long does it typically take then from the time they enter pillar 3 till the time they are done with pillar 4?
It can be 3, 4, 5 months. Third pillar,
Oh, that
third pillar
fast.
goes real fast. And
Yeah.
then fourth pillar is just getting their points, checking the box. They're usually working by that time, going to school. So you're getting them the beginning of that junior year when they're looking at, what do I want to major in? What kind of decisions do I want to make? So it can be with Lori Joe's team. Gosh, y'all met with Prudence and she was like, I'm out of here in 3 months. Like, y'all were helping
Well,
her prepare.
she wanted to be out, but we didn't want her to go so fast.
She wasn't
She
ready.
wasn't ready.
She wasn't
No.
ready. So that's why I
she
said,
wound up staying.
yeah, she
Yeah,
did end
a
up
little
staying a
longer.
little bit longer. I'm stuck now. She did end up staying a little bit longer, and that was very helpful to her transition because she thought she was going to go here and then here and then here. And the mentor team
All
just
over the
kept
place.
saying, slow down, slow
Right.
down. You got a long life ahead of you. Slow down.
So Joanna, for the team that you're putting together, when is the start date?
As soon as I get everybody put together and have a Zoom meeting with the mentee, because we've got 2 girls right now, their paperwork is in and they are dying for a team.
Okay.
So we could have a meeting as early as a week from today and have you meet your mentee and go from there.
Wow.
And the team leader will put together, the team leader and I will work together and we'll put together when is the optimal meeting date. On Zoom is easy, but actually in person at the Dream Center based on everyone's schedule. And then at that point, the team leader takes over. I'm still in the loop, but they take over. The team leader works with everyone on the team. If somebody gets sick or they're running late or they have to miss the meeting, but they want to call in on Zoom or FaceTime or whatever, they handle all of that. And I allow the teams to develop very organically. I don't give you a lot of rules. I don't give you a lot of restrictions. Just little things like if you ever go to lunch, don't order alcohol. We've had someone do that. I know that you think you really have to say that. Don't show up in your crop top and your leggings because, I know all you men love to, sure, Juliet, you can go. Just little things like that is just, making sure that just Juliet, don't forget to email me your availability. Okay. And tell me what lanes you would want to cover. But, it's just kind of using good common sense, basically.
So you do want the lanes that we were interested in.
If you
in
have a
addition.
preference, I can't guarantee you'll get your preference, but a lot of people, Stan, think that they have to pick a lane that they're already an expert in, and you really don't, because it's
Mhm.
kind of cool for you to learn as they're learning,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Is one of the lanes healthcare?
yes, that's
Okay.
the one I always forget. And healthcare is a really big one. It is self-care. It's also learning what, when you go to work for a company, what are benefits? Why
Okay.
is that important? A lot of them think, oh, if I take this job, but there's no benefits, that's great. Well, you want benefits. So it might be better to take a job that pays a little bit less, that is going to lead you to a path of future promotions and all that has good benefits. So it's really explaining to them how all of that works. And most of them have access through Arizona. So you
I
don't
was gonna
really have
ask.
to work with their individual health care. It's more decisions they make. And it's amazing to me. So a lot of our residents, because they are now clean and off drugs, they substitute food for a lot of the trauma they've been through and the drugs and all. So they sometimes get a little bit out of shape. So it helps when the mentor team says, you know what, let's figure out how to use your food stamps for healthy buying. And I've had mentors take their mentee to the grocery store and teach them how to shop with their food stamps and their WIC.
So for all these, you've mentioned a number of times, pick up the mentee, take them to lunch, take them shopping, but you said never one mentor with the mentee, right? Okay. So if we were going to take a mentee shopping, it would be 2-3 of us that would do that, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
You don't ever want to be in that position,
Right.
especially a male with a female or a female with a male.
Right. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, they do go shopping every Friday. So if someone from the mentor team said, hey, I'm going to meet y'all at Walmart and I'm going to walk around Walmart with you and we're going to figure out how to use, you know, your credits and your food stamps and all that. They get all their meals provided at the Dream Center, but it's a lot of starch. It's a lot of fat. It's a lot of fast food kind of things. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. Natalie, we're almost done. We're almost done. Okay. So Natalie's got to go too. Any other questions at all? Kelly, you've been so quiet.
There, I'm unmuted now. No, the question I had was following this, what does it look like? You know, I've gone through the orientation and got all my paperwork in and such, and it sounds like you need an email. I'm just excited to get going. I'm a little bit, wow, I wonder if I have anything to contribute.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, everybody does. And everybody's nervous. And that's why I always say, bring snacks to the first meeting. It gives you something to do with your mouth. But, you know, let me tell you what, you are going to love it. And after your first meeting, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this 10 years ago? It's
That
fun.
sounds good.
It's fun. It really is.
I'm
So if
looking
y'all
forward
won't
to it.
go ahead. What?
I
Sweetie?
said, I'm looking forward to it. My kids are all grown and live all over the US. So it's just me out here. My dad's in Cave Creek. So it's dad and I we don't live together, but I need some youth in my life.
Well, you're going to love it. And let me tell you what, you guys, it is such a blessing. And I'm not a crier, but I can start talking about what our teams have done for the mentees. And when these kids graduate and their mentor team shows up, it's overwhelming. And they will look at their mentor team. They'll tell leadership, thank you for everything you did. And they'll tell Brian and Sky, thank you for everything you did. But they look at their mentor team and they go, you saved me. You have no idea the impact you will have on these kids. Anyway,
Sounds great.
before I get emotional, okay, so y'all email me, give me 3 or 4 lanes that you'd love to work with, but the main thing is your schedule. Okay, that's a biggie, your schedule. And then Jeff, I'm going to probably, if you want to be on a team, which I think you should be, I'm going to put you on as either 3 strong people as the 4th or 4 people as the 5th, so that when you step in, you step out. Okay. Okay. All right. Or someone who's going to graduate fast. All right. Thank you guys for being on.